Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome to the Running Mates Timeline episode 10, where we will be going through the years of 1977 through 1997. Starting off in the 77, we have nothing noteworthy. In 1978, President Bob Dole would issue tax cuts. He would also sign a law which would allow the home brewing of beer, and his first budget would balance, so we are having a pretty good economy compared to what Jimmy Carter had back in the 78. In 1979, President Dole would sign the SALT II agreement with Russia, which is, hey, let's not use nuclear weapons. They signed a couple of those throughout the Cold War. And of course, the Iran hostage crisis also occurs in this timeline. In 1980, President Dole would sign the Staggers Rail Act, which would deregulate the railways. And though the 1980 election solely based on the basis of the Iran hostage crisis, Democrat Senator Walter Mondale would defeat Republican President Bob Dole 417 to 121 to become the 30th president. Note, there is no recession. There is a low unemployment rating, as well as Bob Dole wins in the state of Jefferson. Whoops. In 1981, President Mondale would sign an agreement to release Iranian hostages. However, this turns into a scandal, as of course this is his own version of the Iran Contra affair, where he gives Iran weapons in return for the hostages. And as well as the early 1980s recession begins here, as it did IRL. Oh my goodness, what's going on with my computer? In 1982, President Mondale would be impeached by the House of Representatives for a corrupt bargain in the Iran hostage scandal, but he would be acquitted by the Senate, with 49 senators voting to convict. 1983, there is nothing noteworthy. In 1984, we have a high unemployment rating at 8.1%, and Republican Senator George Bush would go on to defeat Democrat President Walter Mondale 367 to 171 to become the 31st president. And going in 1985, the early 1980s recession would end, same as it did IRL. In 1986, President Bush would increase the military budget to fight against the Cold War and the Russians. In 1987, the employment rating would drop to 4.1%. 1988, President George Bush, with a good economy behind him, would run against Democrat Senator Lloyd Bentsen, and who Bush would beat 279 to 258 to win another term as president, and Bush would win the state of Jefferson here. In 1989, President Bush would sign a free trade agreement with Canada. This isn't NAFTA, but a prototype of the agreement, but with only Canada, not Mexico. In 1990, the U.S. would invade Panama. President Bush would sign the Chemical Weapons Accord with the Soviet Union. Again, another, hey, let's not use nuclear weapons deal. And the early 1990s recession would happen now. We would also go into the Gulf War, same as IRL. And President Bush would sign tax increases as he does IRL. And we would have a high unemployment rating that would bounce up to 7%. In 1991, the early 1990s recession would officially end, as well as the Gulf War and Cold War, so we're out of all of this. In 1992, the employment rating would rise to 8.7%, and Democrat Tennessee Senator Al Gore would go on to defeat Republican President George Bush 338 to 200 to become the 32nd president. Bush would win the state of Jefferson. In 1993, oh my goodness, that's weird. I apologize. In 1993, President Gore would sign NAFTA. That agreement still occurs, and Ross Perot still does run, but doesn't win any electoral votes. In 1994, the employment rating would drop down to 4.8%. 95, President Gore would sign tax cuts into law, which would be get rid of the Bush tax increases. And the Oklahoma City bombing would still sadly occur. Going on to 1986, we only have the election to talk about, and that is Democrat President Al Gore going on to defeat Republican Housing Secretary Jack Kemp, who served under the Bush administration. He's now the Republican nominee. Gore would beat Kemp 381 to 157 to win another term as president, and Kemp would win in the state of Jefferson as well. Most Republicans are pretty much going to sweep Jefferson from this point forward, maybe with a couple exceptions. In 1997, there is nothing noteworthy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to follow my Twitter at ChaoticPolitics. This is the Chaotic One saying, peace.